Well, I mean, first of all, it's data. Use data to help drive your decisions, and so that's going to help guide you in terms of looking at what should you emphasize. Is it lane departure, intersections, is pedestrian, bikes, or non-motorized? And so you may not know that, or you may not know exactly where you should go until you look at the data. And so that's that first step. Then take a look at your roadway network. Even community interest and feedback that we get helps prioritize where we might want to make those investments, so we can start hopefully targeting the right areas first.
We'll start working. Start working with the data, work with what you have. If you identify items where you need more data, you can go out and get that, but at least you have something to work with. And then you identify what steps you need to take to enhance the data. When we were doing our local road safety plan, one of the jurisdictions we learned didn't have good record keeping and hadn't, submitted all their collision data into the SWITR system, so we didn't have it to work with. So we had to go out and input that data to get that, to be able to analyze that jurisdiction. But it's something that unless you start, you won't go anywhere. If you start, you can always work with what you have and then take measures to enhance what you need.
In the past, we spent a lot of our effort chasing fatals. So if site would have a fatal collision, we would try to put out a project and address it. But what we found is by doing that, our total number of fatalities just continued to rise. And so by approaching the analysis more in a systemic manner, looking for those risk factors, we're able to use the crash data to identify the types of roadway features that appear to be more risky for drivers, and then we go and find other locations that, whether they've had crashes or not, have those same features, and try to treat all of those features with some sort of low-cost countermeasure. And until we started looking at the network in a systemic fashion and looking for the risk factors and trying to treat those, it wasn't until then that we finally started to see a decrease in crashes.
That they're really not sure of what their problems are until they've gone through the step of doing a systemic analysis. It's very good and beneficial to them to go through the phase of analyzing their data and learning where their problems are rather than making guesses. If they look at the data, they've got a certain more of assurance that they know where or what type of problems they have at least, and can do a widespread process of eliminating those programs over time.
I think the first way is you look at your accident database, and you can do several analyses, but the one that I thought worked out the best, and it's one of the FHWA publications, is through an accident tree. And the accident tree is where you start with your broad base of data, and you start branching it down to where you can start looking at your highest trends, run off the road or curves or intersection types of accidents. So once you create an accident tree, you can start looking at your higher trends.
The way we've been applying the systemic approach is we've first identified our highest crash roadways. And we say these are the roads where we've got the most injury crashes or the highest crash rates. And after we look at those and we start to understand what those roads physically look like, then we can go and say, what are the other roads in your system that have these same characteristics? We may not have crashes on them, but then it allows us to identify where those high-risk roads are that don't have crash experience because maybe the volumes are low or maybe volumes are increasing. And then at that point, we can say these are higher risk roads as well that we can address through a systemic process.
As we started getting more and more information compiled together, a lot of trends started showing up. From the time of day, the time of week, which months or more, what type of accidents we're having, really started to come together, and you could start seeing patterns forming.
Even if you don't have certain data, you can put it in a range. Let's say you don't have traffic volume. You don't know the exact number of cars that drive a particular road daily, but as a local owner of the roadway, you probably have an idea of whether it's a high traffic volume or a low traffic volume. And so just, if you have to just kind of on the fly put it in a bucket like that, then do that. that's good enough for a local road safety plan.
And while it may not be written down, it may not be in a spreadsheet form, if you look at and you talk to your road supervisors, you talk to your local county elected officials, the data's there. We've just got to sit down for an hour or two and we can write it down, and you've got everything you need for the local road safety plan.
One of the first times we actually went through a comprehensive safety plan, we targeted horizontal curves. There's almost 50% of our fatal and serious crashes. It's a fairly small portion of our roadway network in the grand scheme of things, and so we could make some targeted investments, and we've done that, and the results so far in the simple before and after is about a 35% reduction at that targeted crash type. And so I think that's a pretty impressive, I think, but again, it's an example of where you can use the data to help be strategic in how you make those investments.
That's great. The systemic analysis is, I think, the best approach to this because you are looking at trends rather than spot locations.
Don't be afraid to get into the data and looking at it. We realize county engineers in particular are very busy people, but they shouldn't put it off. It is just as important as maintaining good road surface or dealing with their bridges and making sure their bridges are up to date. Taking care of the residents of their community and making sure they're able to get home safely is every bit as important as the structures they deal with or the roadway surfaces.